The principles that emerged from the Glorious Revolution of 1688 fundamentally transformed political governance, initiating a shift from monarchical rule to democratic republics. This watershed moment challenged absolute monarchy and established constitutionalism, individual rights, and limited government as cornerstones of modern political systems. Rooted in the emerging Enlightenment movement, these revolutionary ideas reshaped political thought across Europe and eventually worldwide. The Glorious Revolution was a bloodless overthrow of England's Catholic king, James II, by Protestant leaders who feared his policies and the potential establishment of a Catholic dynasty. William of Orange, a Dutch prince married to James II's Protestant daughter Mary, was invited by English nobles to intervene, and he landed in England in November 1688 with a significant army. James II fled to France, effectively abdicating the throne. William and Mary became joint rulers after accepting the English Bill of Rights, marking a pivotal shift toward constitutional monarchy, parliamentary supremacy, and expanded civil liberties. William's involvement decisively shaped the political landscape of Britain, firmly embedding Protestantism and limiting royal authority, setting precedents that profoundly influenced future democratic movements, notably the American Revolution. Central to this transformation was John Locke's influential Two Treatises of Government, 1689, which argued that legitimate authority stems from a social contract rather than divine right. Locke articulated that governments exist primarily to protect natural rights, life, liberty, and property, and that citizens possess the inherent right to resist or overthrow rulers who violate these principles. These concepts have remained essential to democratic governance for over 3 centuries. As we reach 2025, Republicans face challenges reminiscent of those that once plagued monarchies: escalating conflicts, unchecked spending, and deeply polarized political systems that push societies towards civil unrest. This modern crossroads demands innovative reforms to stabilize and adapt political institutions for future resilience. The fractal timeline analysis of the Glorious Revolution reveals patterns of profound transformation marked by civil unrest, revolutions, and global conflicts as seen in the graph. These democratic principles have evolved through periods of challenge and renewal. We will explore dates from this chart of significant years documenting its evolution to the present era and beyond. In 1759, during the 7th period of the First Grand Cycle, the American colonies were immersed in the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763. This North American theater of the global 7 Years' War marked a turning point as British and colonial forces secured significant victories against France, notably at the Battle of Quebec. General James Wolfe's defeat of French forces under Montcalm established British dominance in North America, while fostering a shared colonial identity that would later fuel independence movements. The war's economic strain on colonial finances, as increased taxation funded military campaigns, created tensions that would eventually spark the American Revolution. Meanwhile, frontier conflicts with indigenous peoples, many allied with France against British expansion, added complexity to the colonial landscape. By September 1782, at the end of the Third Cycle, France faced internal pressures that would culminate in its own revolution. The nation struggled under immense debt, much accumulated through its support of American independence and decades of extravagant royal spending. King Louis XVI's government encountered mounting difficulties financing operations as privileged estates. Clergy and nobility resisted tax reforms. This financial strain exacerbated societal inequalities, with commoners bearing the tax burden while experiencing stagnant wages and rising food prices. Simultaneously, Enlightenment ideas promoting liberty, equality, and challenges to absolute monarchy gained traction among the educated middle class, creating conditions for the revolutionary events of the 1770s. On the fractal chart, by 1770 in the 8 period, was the most significant event leading toward the American Revolution was the Boston Massacre. On March 5th, tensions erupted when British soldiers stationed in Boston fired into a crowd of colonists, killing 5 civilians, including Crispus Attucks, often cited as the first casualty of the Revolution. This event heightened anti-British sentiments and became a powerful propaganda tool for colonial leaders like Samuel Adams and Paul Revere, who used it to rally public opinion against British rule. Although war didn't immediately follow, the Boston Massacre sharply escalated tensions, paving the way toward open rebellion just a few years later. The 5th period of the Second Grand Cycle, by May 1868, witnessed transformative political and social change during America's Reconstruction era. President Andrew Johnson's impeachment trial concluded with his narrow avoidance of removal from office by a single Senate vote, highlighting the period's intense political struggles. The ratification of the 14th Amendment established citizenship and equal protection principles that would become foundational to civil rights progress. This period also saw accelerating industrial advancement, with innovations in transportation and communication connecting economies and peoples in unprecedented ways. The year 1868 represented a crucial transition toward reform and global transformation. By August 1893, the 7th period, America faced significant economic challenges with the Panic of 1893, a severe depression marked by railroad company collapses, bank failures, and soaring unemployment, demonstrating the economic vulnerabilities of industrialized democracies. The beginning of the 4th cycle in July 1931 found the world grappling with the Great Depression's devastating effects, widespread unemployment, financial instability, and growing social discontent. President Herbert Hoover faced mounting criticism for his administration's crisis response, while internationally, tensions simmered as nations struggled to recover from World War I and authoritarian ideologies gained traction across Europe and Asia. By February 1944, the Allies had reached a turning point in World War II. The D-Day invasion of Normandy in June would establish a critical European foothold, while on the Eastern Front, the Soviet Union's Operation Bagration dealt devastating blows to German forces. In the Pacific, victories at Saipan and Leyte Gulf crippled Japanese naval power, setting the stage for the eventual defeat of Axis powers in 1945. The Third Grand Cycle, beginning in 1956, stands as a pivotal year marked by transformative global events and cultural shifts. The Suez Crisis demonstrated the waning influence of European colonial powers when Egypt's nationalization of the canal prompted a failed invasion by Britain, France, and Israel, ultimately halted by US and Soviet pressure. Simultaneously, the Soviet Union violently crushed the Hungarian Revolution, reinforcing its control over Eastern Europe, while colonial power structures further eroded with Sudan, Morocco, and Tunisia all gaining independence. On the technological front, 1956 witnessed remarkable innovations with President Eisenhower initiating America's Interstate Highway System, IBM, introducing the first computer with a magnetic disk drive, and the establishment of the first transatlantic telephone cable connecting North America and Europe. These developments fundamentally altered transportation and communication infrastructures. Civil rights progress manifested when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled bus segregation unconstitutional, ending the Montgomery bus boycott, though resistance to desegregation continued with the Southern Manifesto. Scientific advancement reached new heights with England opening the first commercial nuclear power plant at Calder Hall. This remarkable year effectively set the stage for the social, political, and technological transformations that would define the coming decades. In the third cycle, the period 5 and 6 from February 2011 to September 2024 marked a pivotal era, beginning with transformative Middle Eastern events. The Arab Spring, which culminated in January 2011, toppled regimes in Egypt and Libya, while sparking civil wars in Syria and Yemen that created long-term regional instability. The Syrian civil war escalated into a major conflict, contributing to ISIS's rise and a massive refugee crisis by 2015. Simultaneously, the Eurozone debt crisis emerged as Greece, Ireland, Portugal, Spain, and Italy struggled under severe financial strain, leading to widespread protests and political instability across Europe through austerity measures and controversial bailouts. Against this global backdrop, the 2016 U.S. presidential election saw conservative populism challenging established left-wing social policies. This movement gained traction among working-class white voters who felt marginalized by globalization and rapid social changes, opposing political correctness, illegal immigration, and existing free trade agreements. Part of a broader global trend of conservative nationalism, this shift represented a fundamental realignment in American politics. The subsequent presidency faced unprecedented scrutiny, including 2 impeachments, first in December 2019 for alleged abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, and again in January 2021 following the Capitol riot. The 2024 presidential campaign was further marked by 2 assassination attempts against the former president, who suffered a minor injury in Pennsylvania in July 2024 before a second armed individual was apprehended in Florida that September. These events culminated in the 2024 election, preceded by a Supreme Court ruling granting former presidents broad immunity from prosecution for official acts, a decision with significant implications for separation of powers and executive accountability. One of the main issues in 1868 was the 14th Amendment, adopted on July 9, 1868, represented a cornerstone of Reconstruction and civil rights progress by granting citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States, including formerly enslaved individuals, and guaranteeing equal protection of the laws to all citizens. In January 2025, following the election, an executive order aimed to end automatic citizenship for children born to non-citizen parents in the United States, including those with temporary visas or undocumented status. This order directly challenged the amendment's long-standing interpretation, upheld by the Supreme Court's 1898 decision in United States versus Wong Kim Ark, which affirmed that children born on U.S. soil to foreign parents are citizens by birth. 22 Democratic-led states immediately filed lawsuits arguing the order violates the Constitution and exceeds presidential authority. This represents a significant policy shift from the previous administration, which had facilitated citizenship pathways for approximately 500,000 undocumented immigrants married to U.S. citizens. The outcome of these legal battles will have profound implications for the future of birthright citizenship in America. This includes the war between Ukraine and Russia for the last 2 years have been escalating since Zelensky's White House visit, leading to Trump cutting off aid to Ukraine. We are at the precipice of World War III due to NATO inability to negotiate with Russia. Astrological analysis offers an alternative framework for understanding these historical patterns through planetary movements during key moments. The period from 2011 through 2025 featured significant planetary alignments reflecting transformative events while echoing themes from similar historical configurations. The Uranus-Pluto square, 2012 to 2015, symbolized upheaval, revolution, and systemic transformation, with Uranus in Aries bringing innovation and rebellion, while Pluto in Capricorn emphasized the breakdown of traditional structures. Historically, Uranus-Pluto alignments have coincided with profound change periods, such as their 1960s conjunction during civil rights movements and countercultural revolutions. The Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, January 2020, marked a period of consolidation, crisis, and transformation, coinciding with the COVID-19 pandemic's unprecedented global impact. Previous Saturn-Pluto cycles aligned with major restructuring periods, including World War I, 1914, and Cold War escalation, 1947. Neptune's transit through Pisces, 2011 to present, introduced themes of spirituality, collective imagination, and escapism. During its previous Pisces transit, 1847 to 1862, the world experienced spiritual awakenings and abolitionist movements. Similarly, recent years have seen mindfulness practices flourish alongside both global connectivity and disinformation challenges. The great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, December 21, 2020, marked a transition from Earth sign materialism to air sign innovation, technology, and community progress, similar to the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction of 1405 that preceded the Renaissance. A rare six-planet alignment anticipated for February 28, 2025, suggests another transformative moment blending personal introspection with collective action. Such alignments have historically coincided with breakthroughs in technology, governance, and social reform. Pluto's entry into Aquarius, March 23, 2023, initiated a transformation period lasting until January 2044. The previous Aquarius transit, 1778 to 1798, witnessed the American Revolution's conclusion and the French Revolution's outbreak, both challenging monarchies and redefining governance. Today, this transit may catalyze technological advancement and decentralized systems while exposing tensions between tradition and progress. The 2024 U.S. election demonstrated Pluto's Aquarian influence through intense political conflicts and assassination attempts, followed by judicial intervention that enabled a decisive electoral outcome. Neptune's anticipated transit from Pisces to Aries, March 30, 2025, promises heightened creativity, innovation, and renewal aligned with the spring season's traditional rebirth associations. Many astrologers suggest we are entering the Aquarian age, an Enlightenment era echoing the Glorious Revolution's transformative spirit. According to the fractal timeline, April 29, 2038, represents a significant milestone potentially marked by artificial superintelligence emergence and humanity's Mars landing, culminating in profound transformation shaped by innovation, progress, and collective advancement. As we navigate these transformative times, the principles established during the Glorious Revolution remain vital. The ongoing tension between established power structures and democratic ideals continues to define our political landscape, requiring renewed commitment to constitutionalism, individual rights, and accountable governance. 3 centuries after the Glorious Revolution challenged absolute monarchy, we face similar questions about authority, representation, and the social contract. Our ability to reform and adapt political systems while preserving foundational democratic principles will determine whether we can navigate current challenges and build more resilient, equitable societies for future generations. Thank you for listening to the Hologrid Press.